American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Coach Q and Chris Green. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on? We
So,
back.
Yeah, after a little bit of break, the AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast, and you can see us here visually on YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to subscribe, follow, and like us. Anyone who listens or watches but doesn't hit that like button, we know you're a hater. That's okay, though. We're going to get on with the show. All right, it is first down. We get a chance to kind of talk about whatever we've been up to, and obviously we had midsummer break, so we were gone for about a week. Q, what's going on with you, man, over this break?
Not much, man. I've been checking out the ELF and they highlights and seeing what's going on over there, man. But other than that, been chilling, man. It's a good summer.
What about you, Chris?
yeah, man, same old. Just enjoying the nice weather we've been having over here. Playing my cricket on a Saturday, and yeah, just we had a tough game a week ago against the Warriors, which we're really disappointed about. We had a bounce back win yesterday. We won 77-12 yesterday, so definitely a bounce back win.
Damn basketball scores, man. Damn basketball score. Which reminds me, this is what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. Have y'all been seeing the U20 world championships? It's in Canada. Some team got beat 113-0. Is that what happened?
Wow.
Someone shared that with me. So I think the USA beat Panama 85-12 or something like that. 86-12. And then Canada beat Brazil 110-0.
And Canada has two teams because there was a Canada 2 that lost to Austria 46-0. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And then I saw 100 and whatever to 0. And I was like, what is going on?
That's degrading.
These kids. Yeah, that's tough. And that reminds me of what I had going on last week. AFF, we had the Nordic Challenge, had some kids basically learn how to do some of that combine type drill stuff that they've been doing in the States and prepping some kids to go over to the States, doing a little bit of football individuals, had some coaches come from across the water, from all over Europe. It was a great time. Weather was good. We're in Helsinki. So shout out to all those guys who were helping make that possible and looking forward to the future of that. But other than that, let's get into some football, guys. Okay, so after 5 weeks of play, I think everybody has a better idea of who these Maple League teams are. So this is the part of the season where we get to correct whatever we did wrong earlier about our about our picks. And we're not gonna, rehash what we already talked about, but we will talk about where we think guys are going to land now that we've seen 4, even 5 games from some of the teams. And first, let's go over the standings just so everybody knows where these teams are. Kuopio Steelers are in first at 4-0. Somehow, the Seinäjoki Crocodiles are in second at 4-1. The Helsinki Roosters are in third at 4-0. I do not know how that works, but that's what the website says, and we're just going off of whatever that says. Don't understand how a team is 4-1 and they're sandwiched between 2 4-0 teams, and they don't have a higher. TIF. So in fourth place, you got the Porvoo Butchers, who are 2-3. Fifth place, you have the Wausau Royals, who are 1-3. Sixth place, you have the Lohja Crusaders, who are 0-4. And in last place, you have the Helsinki Wolverines, who are also 0-4. So we already talked about it offline about our consensus and where we think the teams are. So let's just go over, each spot, talk about why we think they're there and what they could do going forward. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. 7th place, we basically have given that to the Helsinki Wolverines. Q, what are your thoughts on the Wolverines so far going into the break and now coming back from the break?
From what we've seen in the beginning of the season, we've seen them play, hard. They just don't have the guys in certain spots to really give them a chance every game. But the imports they have, they can make plays, but you need a little more than that. You need to be a little more consistent too, and that's just not something that they've been doing in the last few games and the first half of this season. So in order for the Wolverines to have some success, they need to figure out if they need to bring somebody else, or if we're not sure if they did or not, but they need to make a decision on, do we bring somebody else to help us get to where we're trying to do, which is obviously win some ball games. But I would hope to see some type of change in the second half of the season. I hope they don't go with what they had before this, and if they did, I hope they made some major adjustments to where they have a better showing of football than what they've been given.
I mean, they really need to address this quarterback issue, because Rasmus is just not cutting it right now. The guy he's thrown 6 interceptions and only 4 TDs. It's just it's not good enough. Like, this is the Maple League. You need a decent quarterback that can spread the ball around, and he's not doing it right now. He's not doing it for me. And Kevin Adams is out there doing his thing. My boy Kevin, he's obviously his go-to guy, but he can only do so much if he's not getting the service. So, yeah, I think they need to change the quarterback position. If they want to be successful, if they want to take this season seriously, then they need to address that. And I think, as Q said, they've got some good imports. I'd like to see them on offense a little bit more as well, like Darius Lewis, like let him run the ball a bit maybe. Alvin Reels as well, like he's a capable running back if needs be. But I think I guess it's, what do you want out of this season? We know last year they kind of just was like, oh, it's a rebuilding year. But what do you want out of this year? Because at the moment, I'm not seeing them winning a game this year again. I'm really not, unless they address these issues that they've got. Clearly, their offensive line isn't quite cutting the mustard right now. Will Young's doing what he can back there, but I think they've got a lot of issues to address, and I think something needs to change.
I really agree with what you said, Chris, because that's where I was going to go with it. Is the quarterback change is, I honestly believe putting Rasmus at receiver gives them more versatility. I think people might not know it yet, but he was a really good receiver. Like, he can make plays for you. He understands the defense. He can get open. He has strong hands. He's a big body receiver, and he's decently fast. Why not utilize that and bring in a quarterback that can get the ball to both him and Kevin and Will and spread that ball around, so you're not all stuck right there in the middle or trying to find one receiver. I don't 100% understand what the plan is with the Wolverines, but I do understand that they're not giving themselves the best effort. And so far this season, what's been intriguing about them is their defense isn't playing half bad. I know that they're playing with a bunch of like kids and a couple of really good imports, and I didn't think it was going to mesh as well as it has, but they're not playing bad. The fact is they're just on the field too much. They're on the field the whole damn time, and the offense gives them no relief. They go out there 3 and out, or they go out there and stall on drives, don't get them any points. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the second half, if they do bring in anybody or if they decide to just ride this out, which from what I've been told, they plan to just ride it out. So hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe my sources are wrong. So moving on to the next position, we've got 6th place, and we got – who did we put in 6th? Oh, we put the Royals.
The Royals,
we had a little talk about Crusaders, but we put the Royals in 6th. Even though they are 1-3, they beat the Wolverines. Chris, you lead this one off. What are your thoughts on the Royals so far this season?
Man, again, I just don't feel like Theo is necessarily the right fit for their offense. The quarterback, Theo Landers, he's a good quarterback, but I don't feel like he's the right fit for them. I think maybe if they run the ball a bit more with him, because he's been successful in the run game, then if they change their offense up slightly, that might go in their favor. I feel like the offense that they're running is not suiting his style of play, and I feel like they need to be a little bit more adaptive to it. Alpha is doing what he can out there. You know, he's doing alpha things, but he's not being as productive as he has been. But again, I think it's because he's playing both ways. I think that the Royals, I don't really know where they're going to pick up these wins. I mean, like, I feel like the Crusaders are probably just slightly better than them. They just edge them, and I feel like that's why we put them above them. But they're very similar. They're kind of on a level playing field, and they could finish either way. But in terms of playoffs, I don't feel like the Royals have got a shot at making top four. I really don't. I think the other four teams are just too strong.
What about you, Q? What are your thoughts on the Royals so far this season?
The same as I felt again about the Wolverines. I just think they've been inconsistent. They haven't shown enough offensively to actually compete against the better teams. I do think the Royals are better than the Wolverines. I think they have the ability to be better than a few other teams, but it's just if you're not producing it every game, if you're not making plays every game, it's not going to happen. And like you say, we always say all the time, Alpha can only do so much. The quarterback has to really show up this second half of the season. He has to put a lot of these games in his hand, and I want to see them. I mean, what do you got to lose now at this point? So I want to see what they're going to do as far as the quarterback. They're going to let him throw the ball a lot more. Sawolski has been doing what he can, but it's the quarterback. That's what you brought him in to make plays. I know you didn't bring him in to hand the ball off the whole time or just throw little dinks and dunks, but they need some real play out of him, a little more than what we've been seeing. So that's about the only thought I have for them. If anybody need to make a change, it might need to be the Royals.
I'm gonna throw in my 2 cents about the Royals, and just like I said before they played the Wolverines, I really don't care. I don't want to speak on them too much, but it looks like the same thing we saw last year. You got 3 guys on offense. Your receiver slash guy in Alpha, Tom Sawolski, who always gonna get it done, and then your quarterback. But they changed the quarterback, and they didn't change much. No offense to anyone, the previous year's quarterback. Theo Landers can run the ball too. And we saw last year they were in a similar situation. Early in the season, we were like, what's going on with the Royals? They need to get stuff fixed. And what they did was they really just doubled down on those 3 guys getting the ball. They came out with a different offense in the second half of the season. It basically was just those 3 guys touching the ball. They didn't take any chances anywhere else. Can we see that again? I mean, again, it ain't great football for me, but I still think you can win 4 or 5 games doing that. You can get right back to where you were last year, the whole 6-6 situation. Like we've said before, they have the potential. They could upset some higher ranked teams. They could potentially, beat the Butchers if they played their offense correctly. They could beat the Crusaders. They could beat. I'm trying to think of someone else. I don't think they could beat the Roosters.
They couldn't beat the top 3 teams, that's for sure.
They probably couldn't. They probably couldn't beat the top 3. I give you that. I'm not going to just throw that out there, give them too much hope. But they could compete, but they'd have to really double down and say, "Hey, Theo's getting the ball, Alpha's getting the ball, Tom's getting the ball, nobody else." And that's not a bad plan because it's not like they have anyone else. Both they have too many injuries to their supposed, receivers who are supposed to be stepping up. And then the guys that are there just have not done anything to build any type of faith that they will do anything. So why not just double down on those guys, make that offense run through those 3 and just keep them going? But again, kind of what you had said, Chris, Alpha can't play both ways. And that's probably the biggest thing they have going on is Alpha's playing both ways. DeMarco Artis is still hurt. That's hurting them. Even though when he was playing linebacker, I don't think that was a great fit. When he comes back, I hope they put him back at defensive line where he can be a little bit more impactful. And maybe that can keep Alpha from having to play defense. If you can get that pressure up front, maybe you don't need Alpha to, in the backfield the whole time. He can use some of that energy for special teams and offense. And you guys are, again, looking at that, 6-6. You won 1. You could beat, 1, 2 teams, 2, 3, maybe 5 wins. Okay, maybe 5 wins. So 6th place makes sense. But moving on to the team we have in 5th place, Loyola Crusaders. Q, how do you feel about them so far? They're already playing a little bit better than we thought, even though they haven't won a game yet.
I think they're going to be the surprise team in the second half of the season. I think they're going to to, I would say, they're going to teeter in that Butchers area, I think they make some changes. If they make the changes, Raiders will be in the 4th, 5th area, possibly, if they made the right changes. Because they do have better players than some of the teams that we got at the lower spots, but they still have some better than average imports, which also gives you chances to score. It gives you chances to make plays. I definitely would like to see the defense play better, to give them some chances in the game. But I think offensively, the Crusaders have everything that they need, specifically quarterback, receiver to throw to, running back. They have that. It's just a matter of just defense making plays.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on the Crusaders so far?
I agree that the defense need to make plays, but I just feel like Bryce Messina's a bit inconsistent right now. I was one of, and I'll put my hand up. I was one of the people that said, the Crusaders could upset the Butchers, and the Butchers put me in my place. They won 46-0, was it? And
something like that.
But I'm looking at the stats from that game, and Bryce Messina was 30 attempts, 8 completions.
The
previous game.
Who were they to? Were they all to Leonardo?
No, he had 2. Vertanen had 3. And then a couple other guys had 1 each. But looking at that to their previous game, where they put 41 points on the Crocs, he was consistent. But then the game before that, inconsistent again. So I just feel like they're lacking a bit of consistency with Bryce. And I don't know if it's because their play calling is slightly different each game, and there's a bit of inconsistency with that. But I feel like Bryce just needs to, if he can get on the same page and be more consistent with his play style, he needs to run the ball more as well. He's athletic when he's got the ball in space and he can run. I feel like Moses Harris is doing a great job at running back. He's putting up big numbers most games. He had another 100-yard game, even though it was in the big loss to the Butchers. He still ran for over 100 yards. So they need to put more faith in him as well, give him more carries. But I just feel like the quarterback play is just a bit inconsistent for me right now, and they need to fix that. So it's kind of like I feel like the 3 bottom teams have got a similar problem. They're struggling with quarterback right now. And it's a mixture of things. Obviously, different reasons for all 3 teams why they're struggling there. Because Bryce Messina's got talent. Like he has. I've watched his film. You've only got to watch his film for the first 4 plays to see that this boy can play. But the problem is at the moment, it's just inconsistent. So he needs to find a way that he can get consistent, whether that's through play calling, whether that's through him running the ball a bit more. I don't know. I don't have the answer right now. But the Crusaders need to figure this out. And if they do figure it out, they could upset some teams and they could be in that 4th spot for the playoffs. They have an opportunity to be there because they've got good imports and their offense is good. They put points up. Like I said, they put 41 on the Crocs. So they've got scoring ability. They need to fix a bit on defense, and they just need to get more consistent with the quarterback play. And I feel like they have the potential to be the 4th spot, but I feel like we've got them in the right place at 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. You said it best when you said they can score. Ain't nothing changed about Maple League, man. If you can score, you got a chance. Because ain't nobody playing no defense out here, especially like at the bottom part of this of the standings. If you look at all those teams, well, I take that back because I do think the Wolverines' defense is pretty good, but they can't score, and that's just the case. Everybody's scoring. Defensively, you said it when you're talking about Messina playing against the Crocs and the Butchers. If we take out the offense and look at the Crocs and the Butchers' defense, it's similar. It's not much difference in those 2 defenses. So it shouldn't be that huge of a difference in the offensive play where you can score 40 on one team and not score on the other. So that inconsistency, again, is definitely the biggest issue I have with the Crusaders. But I think also, like you said, if they can score, though, they can upset some guys. A couple of big plays on defense to hold them, put up enough points to force teams into situations they don't want to be in. Again, it's a matchup thing. They probably don't want to try to keep up with a team like the Butchers because the Butchers are wanting to do that same type of style of play. That's probably what did do him in a little bit, is trying that pressure of having to score. Because I do think the biggest asset for Crusaders is that running back Moses Harris. Because if you're able to let him cook and be able to throw the ball, or even get Bryce Messina in a little bit more of a, I would like to see him like rolling out more often. I like to see him moving the pocket, because the offensive line isn't great. And I just haven't seen him moving enough that I think he can get comfortable. I think if they can move him more and have Moses Harris kind of carry the load with the run plays, I think them throwing the ball 30 times makes perfect sense. But again, you can't just complete eight of those passes. It's got to be more along the line of 16, 17 completions at least, so that you can keep that chain going, keep that defense off the field as long as possible. But I do like them at 5. And I agree with you guys that they might make a playoff push if, things change in their way in the second half of the season. Moving to number 4 on the list, we got the Crocs. No, we got the Butchers. Sorry. We got the Butchers, who are 2 and 3. Chris, I'll let you lead this one off. What do you thought on the did I say the Butchers, right? Yeah, the Butchers so far. The reigning champions. What are your thoughts on them so far?
I mean, all you got to do is look at who they've beaten this year. So they've got 2 wins, okay? And who have they beaten? The Royals, who are garbage right now. And they've beaten the Crusaders, who, as we said before, are just very inconsistent. So those are the 2 wins that they've got. They've not beaten any of the good teams yet. So I don't feel like we're seeing the Butchers of last year. I know they did start off slow last season, and then they got it going. Maybe a bit of a bright spark for them was beating the Crusaders last week so big, 46-0. Brandon Gwinner putting up big numbers. Their 2 leading receivers putting up big numbers. Are they going to come back to using this as momentum now going into the mid-season break? I mean, who have they got this week? They've got who have they got this week? They've got the Wolverines, so they've got a nice, easy game again. That's a win straight away. And then the week after that, they've got a week off, so they've got a week to prepare for the Steelers, which will probably be one of their biggest games of the year, because the Steelers, in my opinion, are the best team right now. So they've got time to prepare for them to get things right. And it looks like they're starting to get things right. Their defense is playing okay. They're playing well. Like I said this before on the podcast a few episodes ago. I felt like the defense is playing well. I still believe that. But offensively, they just haven't been the same team as they were last year. I feel like Brandon's putting the game on his back too much. He's going to trust his guys a bit more, and the play calling needs to be trusting in his other guys as well, and not put the whole thing on Brandon. And Brandon just needs to get the ball out quick. I feel like in a lot of the earlier games, he just wasn't throwing the ball quick enough. And was that down to good coverage, or him just not coming off his read too early, or is it pressure in the backfield? I think it's a mixture of all 3. So there's a few things for them to fix on offense, but I believe that I feel like they're a playoff team. Like I don't see the other 3 teams upsetting them. Maybe the Crusaders potentially, as I said before, but I feel like they're in a good spot at 4. Do I think they can push for a championship this year and go back to back? Probably not, unless they tell me otherwise when they play the Steelers in a couple of weeks' time. That'll give us a benchmark then. If they get blown away by the Steelers in a few weeks' time, I think you can write them off straight away.
Give them a solid 6-6. They can beat all the bad teams twice, and then lose to the top 3 teams and be that straight mid. What about you, Q? What are you thinking about the Butchers and their 2 and 3 start so far?
I'm still cautious about the Butchers, but I'm more cautious on the bad side than I am the good side, if that makes sense. I'm afraid that the Butchers aren't who we thought they were at the beginning of the season. We had them at number 1. And if we just go strictly off of watching the games, if we go strictly off watching film, the Butchers aren't playing better than the Roosters. They aren't playing better than the Crocs, and they aren't playing better than the Scorpio Steelers. So they have however many games left, 5, 6 games left. to play better than those top 3 teams at some point. And they just haven't. I just haven't seen them play that consistent yet. Like Chris said, they got the Wolverines next. That'll be a good little game to get back in the groove of things. But they have to make a decision. Are they trying to repeat, or if last year was enough? Was last year enough? Like, and I talked about this last year. I said it's like nearly, basically impossible for you to go back to the championship. It's like nearly impossible, and it's like. It's not like high school or college where these guys are guaranteed to be together for 4 years, and out of that 4 years, you might make a run once or twice, 2, 3 times if you're lucky. You know what I'm saying? But you're talking about Europe where people are coming in, leaving, coaches are leaving. It's a lot play into, going back to a championship, and certain organizations are used to it. But like we said, those guys that were doing it with the Butchers a long time ago, a lot of them aren't around now. You know what I mean? So. This new group, these champions that we just seen last year, they got to learn. And this is just a part of them learning how to be champions. Is you can't come into the next season, off of hype. Like, you actually have to play football. You actually have to show people that, hey, we are champions. And in order for y'all to get this trophy, y'all got to go through us. Right now, if I'm playing on any other team, I'm like, wow, it was a fluke. If I'm playing. I'm thinking it's a fluke. I'm like, that's not what I expected. Usually when teams go to the championship the next year, they either get way, way better or they get like just done. They never be like in the middle. It's either they get worse, so either the Butchers are going to go on a run right now, or they're going to lose 2 to 3 more games when they actually play the better teams. I don't know what's going to happen. The Butchers, I hope y'all show us a little more consistency offensively. I do want to see those receivers play like they played last year. I want to see Brandon Gwinner play like he played last year. This is the time. This is the time to turn it on. Yes, they're going to probably score 50 to 60 points against the Wolverines. You know what I mean? So the feeling is going to come back. But then against the top teams, what are you going to do then? Because the playoffs come around, that's who you're going to have to beat. The Wolverines probably won't be there. So that game means nothing, for most of it anyway.
There's no probably about it. The Wolverines ain't going to be there. Come on now.
I always want to give hope.
Yeah, but I agree with you guys about the Butchers, and I like what you said, Q. They're not who we thought they were. I think I'm accurate in saying that this Butchers team is better than the team we saw last year. And the reason we're not seeing the same type of production is that, first of all, the team we saw last year, we didn't think they were that great in the first place. We had them at number 3 or 4 heading into the season. And then Midsummer, we're like, oh, they're going to be number 2 because they're doing so good. And that's where they really finished, but they won the championship. So kudos to that team. This team is better than that team was last year. I'm 100% sure of that. But the Steelers, the Crocs, and the Roosters are also much better than they were last year. Yep. I think it's a much larger divide this year between the top teams and the bottom teams. Last year, going into the playoffs, we still from 4 to 6, we still were like,
we didn't know.
Yeah, we're like, who knows who's going to make it because these teams were so close. It's not like that this year. This Butchers team would have been the 2 or the 3 last year. Like they probably would have still been the number 2. They probably aren't as good as the Crocs were last year in the regular season, but all these other teams would have won the league last year because they're much better. So that's what you're fighting against. I think it's one of those things for the Butchers. We've said it before and I know we said at the beginning of the season is, can you win when you're supposed to? Everybody loves to play with a chip on their shoulder, right? Everybody likes to be like, hey, we're the underdogs. This is where we live. We're going to show you wrong. Nobody hits me on my inbox when I pick them to win, they win. Nobody says, hey, thank you for believing in me, Purvis. But if I pick against you, I'm getting all these messages about, hey, we proved you wrong. What do you think about us now? Because everybody wants to be the damn underdog, but nobody wants to do what's the phrase when they say it? Everybody wants to be a king or a beast, but no one wants to do what a beast has to do. Like that's the case. If you're the top dog, you got to be the top dog. They didn't want to be the top dog. They want to be an underdog. And the problem is these other teams don't care about that. Scorpio Steelers don't care who you are. You're going to get these points. Helsinki Roosters don't care who they put on the field. They coming away with a dub. Like the Crocodiles, like you ain't gotta like us, you ain't gotta think we're gonna win it, but watch us work. And they all have that like mentality. You can see it on the field. Like these teams are playing the way they want to play. And we look at the Butchers and we're like, who are you? What are you trying to do? What is the point? What are you trying to get accomplished here? And we don't know because they're not who we thought they were. We thought they were going to come in and be dominant and try to run it back. I really just think – I don't think last year was a fluke, but I think they had one good shot in them, had one good bullet. Now they're shooting blanks. Nothing you could do about that. And I think they – again, I didn't think they were going to try to bring back everybody. They did bring back almost everybody. It didn't work out because they didn't get better. They just thought they were going to be able to run it back.
They got the best play, I think, of certain people's careers. All in that championship in one season. All in one season. Everybody played the best that they possibly could play. And that usually means like I won't say fluke. I hate to say that. So I'll take fluke back. But I'll just say like a one-timer. Basically, like you said, like it was a one-timer. Like you had all the right guys together at the right time. I think when everybody that followed the season last year, you can pretty much say up until the championship game, everybody thought the Crocs was winning the whole thing. At no point where people were like, the Butchers is going to be the champions last year. You know what I'm saying? Like until they got into it, like, oh, we in the championship game, and it's the Butchers and Crocs. So now you're like, wow. Now Crocs, you can't play like against them because they hot, they whatever, and then they ran into it and won. Now it's like, okay, now what? Now the first of the season we get this, and it's like you can't tell me in the off season this is what y'all put together. Like I just don't think that's what y'all did. And if y'all are really that good, and the leaders are who they are on that team, they'll find a way to play better and to give a better effort. And that's just something we're gonna have to see these next couple of games because if not, we're gonna be talking about 2023. You know, a one-time thing, and we're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say about it was, I just think it's crazy. It's just crazy the top and bottom heavy that the league is this year. And I've even had somebody from the outside in say, you know, Finland has a crazy top and bottom. This is not normally how it goes. Normally, that middle part of the teams are very competitive. That's not the case this year, which sets the Butchers up for failure because they can beat these lower teams all they want. It's not going to prepare you for the top teams. There's not going to be a comparison, which means the chances of beating those top three teams is going to get even worse when you're constantly playing these lower teams. And so last year they were able to kind of get a run at the right times of the season, going into the playoffs. They were, you know, had played some tough games, but some good games going into the playoffs. This year, they're going to be fighting to get into the playoffs because from what you guys just said, they're going to play. Yeah, they're going to be 3-3 when they go on their break. They're going to be 3-3, so back at 0-0, and they're going to be trying to win 3 games, either against the bad teams or against the good teams in that period. And that'll be right before the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see because if they win more than 3 games, that means they're beating one of those top teams, which gives you hope. If they only win 3 games, they just beat the lower teams twice apiece. Doesn't mean anything. Still means you're going to be first round out. But moving on, I know we're talking about the Butchers too long. Let's go to the number 3 team that we have in our consensus rankings, which is Sinioki Crocodiles. And Chris, I'll let you take this one. What are your thoughts on the Crocodiles so far?
The Crocs are good. Their defense, I like their front 7. Front 7's very strong. They've got some playmakers in there, and they're doing bits. They're getting into the backfield very often. Christian Powell is Christian Powell. I don't feel like he's having a good of a season as he has been having. But when he gets the ball in his hands, there's still always an opportunity that he can put the ball in the end zone. And you can see that the way he runs. You can always see that there's a chance. There's always a chance that he can have a game-breaking play. Their receivers are playing well. Arambide, am I saying that right now? Have we got his name right there?
We said
R&B.
Arambide.
RMB Day. Yeah.
Arambide. There we go. We got it right.
Yeah.
He's playing some good football. He's leading the league in passing yards right now. He's running the ball real well as well. So they're a great team, and they have an opportunity to win. I'm not counting them out. Like at 3, they have an opportunity to be in the ship, and they have an opportunity to win that ship as well. I feel like they're a good team. I feel like they're better than what I thought they were going to be this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting pieces together. Are they better than last year? I probably would say no. I'd say last year they were probably
What?
Yeah, I think so.
Last year, I think we keep forgetting. Last year, they won almost all their games, but they scraped by in so many of those games.
I think they're better this year.
I think they've got a better quarterback this year. I think they've definitely got a better quarterback
that
this year.
made them better right there.
Last year, we saw the Crocodiles win some games. We were like, "Ooh, boy, they squeaked by with that one." They just kept winning because we kept picking against them because it looked like they were going to lose. This year, when they're winning games, it's convincing. Like it's not sexy though, and I get that's why you say the thing about CP.
Yeah,
is like,
maybe it's kind of like a mask effect. Maybe it's kind of like a masking effect. I get that. That makes perfect sense.
We're watching CP. He's still getting 100 yards a game, but it don't look like it because he just all of a sudden turns it on in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and
then he gets a couple touchdowns, and his stats are still up there. But it's like I didn't see him dominate. He had those great crazy plays. He's still the one thing that I love about Christian Powell is. This man is going to give you one big play every game. Like every game, you're going to get, push, a little here, a little there. I'll get my yards. I'll get the close touchdowns. But in one play, he's going to show you every game that he is him. Like one play, he's going to show you like, hey, I can still go for 70. Hey, you still can't tackle me. Hey, I can still put you on skates. And just having that on their team makes them a force every damn week. And again, talking about the Crocodiles going into this midsummer break and after this midsummer break, I really think that they could make a push up top. I know we saw them lose to the Steelers? Was that the team they lost to? Yeah, I'm getting all the games confused. I know we saw them lose. Yeah, we seen them lose. It wasn't great, but also it was one of those things where let's see how the second game goes. Let's see how they adjust to this team going forward because we're going to see most of these teams play each other in the playoffs. And so far, I've been really impressed with their consistency on offense. The fact that they're able to still give the ball to CP in the fourth quarter of a lot of these games when, I've said it before, if you really want to beat them, take him out of the equation. Get ahead of them and stay ahead. Most teams haven't been able to. Even the Steelers weren't really that far ahead before it got out of control. He still had a chance to make an impact on the game. Go ahead, Chris.
One thing I will say is I do feel like the Steelers did control him because
I think they held him. I think it has been done all season. A lot of teams have held him early.
That was the first time that that anyone's held him. He only had 12 carries, but he only had 24 yards. Yeah. And in the passing game, he only had 3 catches for 10.
Well, 7 again,
catches for 7.
Their whole schedule this season has been okay. Early in the game, he might not do a lot, and they don't even feature him. And then later in the game, he starts pummeling you, but they couldn't keep it close.
No.
Again, that's why he only had 12 carries. You can't keep it close. When it got later in the game, they had to throw the ball. Yeah, that's how you beat them.
Yeah, what you don't want with the Crocodiles, and this echoes your point here, is you don't want to be down in the fourth quarter because if you're down, you're going to get a big handle of CP, and that's when things are going to get bad because they can take the game away from you in the fourth quarter, and he does that, and he has done that time and time again. So if you are down, if you're a score or 2 down in the fourth quarter against the Crocodiles, it's tough slugging to come back and get a W against them.
Yeah. The only thing that I really do miss from the Crocs is I do think their defense has some holes in it. It's not as I wouldn't say it's not as good as it was last year because, like we said before, that front seven it might be even better than it was last year, but it's a little inconsistent for me. Like they're not as dominant, and you can't trust what's going to happen either in the front seven or even in the back end sometimes. But again, as long as they're able to keep games close, you always got a shot with the Crocs.
Yeah.
Q, what are your thoughts on the Crocs?
Before you go to Q,
go ahead.
there's one more thing I just want to say. There's one person I'm a little bit disappointed with on the Crocs, and that's their import receiver. He's not producing. Like he put up his first game where he put up really any notable numbers was last game, and he had 4 catches for 92 yards and a TD. But I said to you,
Reddick.
Reddick.
Yeah.
I said to you, didn't I? I don't know if you remember. Like he played the first game, but then he didn't play the second game, and then I saw
he didn't play the second game.
Yeah. Did he play the first game? Like did they?
Yeah, he did. He did. He was there. He just didn't do much.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So for me to not notice him, I was kind of like, what's going on there? But yeah, he needs to. They either need to think of ways to get him the ball, or either that, or he's just not cutting the mustard because I don't see him his numbers right now. Their Finnish guys are doing better than what he is.
I'm not defending him, but I do want to say, is it Rainio, number 11? I can't remember his name for some reason now.
Rainio.
Yeah. Vino Rainio. Hey, he stepped up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they were expecting him to, be able to make as many plays as he has. And R&B, they throwing him the ball. I think that's kind of taking away what we expected Reddick to do. So, I mean, again, I agree with you, though. I mean, you're an import. You need to be more import-ish and make a bigger impression on the team.
They got to give him the ball.
Be an import.
Yeah, they got to give him the ball.
Because when if you look at the little plays, sometimes when he get the ball, like he damn near score. Sounds like he done damn near scored or scored. It's just they don't feature him like that because of the bigger receiver. Sarkler brothers, and they got a lot going on offensively. But I think he'll be big for them. Playoff time, going into the latter part of the season, I think he's gonna be big for him. I think if they give him them fly sweeps, stuff like that, they give him the ball like that, he's gonna hurt some people. I just don't think we've seen enough of it. But you see the little spurts, and then like with certain people with quickness and speed, like they can hurt you. And I think he got it. He's just not a featured player on the offense right now.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you want to talk about the Crocodiles, Q?
I think the Crocs are in a good space right now. They're still winning, even though they're not 100% healthy. Their defensive line, their linebacker core, I think they're going to save the Crocs a lot of times in this latter part of the season because they're so active. Even if the Crocs offense isn't hitting, over 21 points, 28 points, anything like that, I think this defense is going to keep them in. The defense is always going to put them in a game or keep them in a game. And I think if you want to see the Crocs at the end of the season, that's going to be a bad deal. I do. At the beginning of the season, I felt like they missed their run. I thought last year was probably their best chance. But now that they have somebody at quarterback that can do more than just the average, he's actually taking chances. He's throwing the ball down the field, and I'm talking about R&B. He's throwing the ball down the field. He's moving the ball to different receivers, and he's capable of running too. And they didn't have that last year. I think that would have helped them in the championship game for sure. But it gives you a better option. And with the Crocs, even if they get down now, I think they have a chance of still staying in some games because of him. But also, he's another option, that people don't have to deal with too. So Crocs are where they want to be. I think they're sitting pretty good because you have to be confident enough to sit your imports, multiple games before the break. The break, because usually you like, hey, let's get these 4 right here guaranteed, and then Midsummer we'll let you rest, or the week before Midsummer, like that or whatever. But for them to still be winning the way they're winning, and like you say, it's not a dominating all the time performance from them, but you could tell from watching the game that they like in control of both of these games.
Convincing.
So, convincing. And that's what you want. That's what you want right now. You want that confidence. Like you say, you got a young quarterback, first year, here, but he's on a team that has a lot of potential to do something big this year again. And the only thing standing between them is them guys up in Kuopio in Helsinki. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Speaking of the guys in Helsinki, tell us about your boys, the Red Squad. What are your thoughts on them so far?
I got the Reds on the date, baby. Whose house? Whose house?
Yes,
Red
Rooster
house,
loving
man.
guy, man.
Hey, look, let me tell you something about the Roosters, man. Young, still injured, young quarterback. I'm gonna be the first one to say I'm not shaming Ambrose ever when I talk about his play. He's a young guy, like I said, growing pains. But Ambrose is stepped up. He's being careful with the ball. His completion is great right now. His percentage. He's getting the ball to his playmakers. Bryson Nunley is tearing it up. I don't even think we've really seen what this offense can really do. I think the teams that they've played against haven't been that great, but I do think we can all tell that the Roosters is one of the better teams. And am I going to say they're going to win a championship right now? I don't know that because I haven't seen them in the heat of the moment yet. I haven't seen them go through that adversity in a tough game against a tough opponent yet. But I do think they're on the right track to where they want to be. They're getting better and better week in and week out. And when they get those guys that are injured back, the Roosters are going to be something to deal with. Like I said, everybody's really offensively heavy this year besides, the Crocs, I would say. But everybody else geared up offensively, and the Roosters have a lot of weapons. And one thing I will say about that is once they go on a roll and once they get rolling, it's going to be hard to stop that. And it don't matter if they're playing at home. It don't matter if they're playing away. It's going to be hard to stop the Roosters once they get going. But I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes. Like I said, I don't think Ambrose has been tested yet, and that's the only thing that I need to see in order to say, hey, you know what? I think they're gonna make a push for it this year or whatever. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen the heads clash yet. We haven't seen them really clash yet. So until we get a sneak peek at what that might look like, right now I think the Roosters are top 3 teams. They definitely top 3 teams. I don't know which place I want to put them in yet as far as 1 to 3, but they definitely up there. They up there, man. Look how good I look in this red, man. You know,
looking good in that red, man.
I tell you what,
you know what I'm saying?
You ain't gonna wait long to see him clash heads because they got the Steelers this week. So
yeah, crazy.
That's gonna be a good one.
That's gonna be a good one.
So we put. Is it my turn? Am I going?
Yeah. You're good, Chris. Go ahead.
So we put the Roosters at 2, and I feel like they are the second best team in the league right now. Ambro, I think he downplayed him a bit how high of a level he's playing. Yeah, he's not really been tested, but he's completing 71.9% of his passes. That's big. And he's thrown 14 touchdowns and only 1 interception. You compare that to last year, how many picks he threw last year, and we was on his case every single week. He was throwing pick after pick after pick. But this year, he's doing it right. He's got some great weapons to throw to, and he's still got other weapons to come back from injury as well. He's got Johannes, who's been injured for a bit. He's got Santu, who's been injured, and Santu's going to be out. Johannes, I think, is questionable this week, so we might see Johannes back. But he's got some great weapons. Bryce Nunley is just a great talent, someone you can always go to. You've got Greenfield in the backfield, who's making electric plays all the time in the run game and the pass game. They're just a complete team. They are way better, as we said, than last year. And they just look like a Maple Bowl caliber team right now. This is how I feel about them. I feel like they are definitely the second-ranked team. I feel like the Steelers are better than them, but they are a Maple Bowl caliber team, and it's a good Roosters team. Probably the best one we've seen in a few years now, I would say. In the last sort of 4 years or so, I think it's probably the best Roosters team that we've seen.
And that's saying a lot because I still feel, I don't know if anybody remember, and again, I promise if you're listening, once we get past Midsummer, we will stop talking about last year. But, just early in the season, we do spend a lot talking about last year. But I promise we'll move on as the weeks get more into the season. We're only at like 5 weeks, so we haven't seen that much. But last year, I do remember like going into the playoffs. Hey, we were all saying, "Hey, Roosters might just pull it off," because you do not want to see this team at that point of the season. And going into this season, we said, "Well, if they can start the way they finished," and obviously they couldn't do that. They've had a ridiculous amount of injuries, and I'm one to always say, I don't care about injuries. I can't use that as an excuse for when I make my analysis. I just can't. But even knowing those injuries are there, you just said it, Chris. They're a complete team, and they still have more. Not to mention, didn't they just add two imports because they had
Mm-hmm.
spots? Didn't they just add an
Big
offensive
lineman.
import and a
A
linebacker
linebacker as
import?
well.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
just added two imports, and they were 4-0 without those guys. And the only reason I say that is because they added players, and they still have injured players, and we're not going to talk too much about that. But the fact that this team is able to win convincingly, you got a quarterback completing 72% of his passes, not throwing interceptions. You got a receiver catching what is it, 9 touchdowns on 16 catches. Like they're scoring points at a high clip, and then defensively, both of their safeties have 2 interceptions apiece, leading the league in interceptions. You got 4 interceptions coming from your 2 guys that get to roam the field, and they're making great plays and they're creating turnovers. They're doing everything that you want a team to do to get to the Maple Bowl. And then from that point on, it's going to be who wants it more out of them and whoever they play in the Maple Bowl. And yeah, I said that, whoever they play in the Maple Bowl. I'm not gonna say who they're gonna play because I feel like it's still up in the air. But the Maple Bowl is in Helsinki this year. Helsinki gonna be in that thing. It is what it is. The city is the color of red. They're gonna be in that thing. Coach Q might even be, Skyping to see how if he
I
can get a
know.
photo in there or something. I
Yeah.
don't know, but but I do think that the Roosters team this year, like they have so much talent, so many weapons, and a little bit different than last year. I think they're using them a little more efficiently than they did last year. I think last year they had a
Yeah.
lot of players that we didn't figure out what they could and couldn't do until later in the season. This year, I think a little bit of it is the fact that they have to use these players, but Renee Raltonen, the young kid coming up and stepping up into that number 2 receiver spot. And then I can't say the other guy's name. I want to say, is it Takapa, number 82? He's a guy that they talked about in the offseason. They talked about him a lot. I think his first name is R2 or
Mm.
R2, something like that. They talked a lot about him. And you'll notice Ambrose is very comfortable throwing him the ball. That's one thing that we don't talk a lot about is like who does he throw the ball to? Obviously, he's gonna throw it to the import because he's the import. But when he's
Mm-hmm.
throwing to those Finnish players, who is he comfortable throwing the ball to? I remember when I was in Helsinki watching them play against, I want to say the Wolverines or something. I saw a lot of throws. I was like, okay, everybody's open. Who does he like? And he throws to number 82. And like that tells me something that those two have a rapport, and going down the stretch, we're in situations where they're going to try to take Bryce Nunnally away. They might even try to take Santu or Renee Raltonen away. And then you're going to find out that Ambro Erhansen is comfortable with almost all of his receivers. And I do think that we're going to see him play a little bit tighter and a little bit cleaner against some of the better teams as we get down the stretch. But of course, that's just my predictions after the
Yeah.
mid.
We just chip on a little more like when we look at this thing, you say Ambrose right now, they 4-0. That means that they probably beat Crusaders, Porvu, Wolverines, Royals,
Mm,
who got a combined win together of what?
1. No, 3.
3 games.
Yeah, because
3
Butchers
games.
won 2
So that's
and Royals won 1.
that's what I mean, a test. Because let's be honest, they have beaten these teams hands down easily. But when I say the test is like doing a ball drill, a
Mm-hmm.
receiver doing a ball drill, you catch 20 passes when nobody's on you. But as soon as these hands go in your face, now you can't catch 10.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say like the test. I want to see the test with Ambrose. Did he really make this step, this progress? I do believe he got better. But when you playing against DBs that are going to be physical, when you playing against, I say a good core, like the Crocs core, is he going to be able to handle having 2 or 3 and outs mentally? You know what I mean? All right, so the offense isn't going right now. They just scored 2 touchdowns. What are we going to do? Am I going to panic? Am I going to put my team in the place to, you know what I'm saying? And that's the growth. That's the growth that you have to have as a quarterback. That's the growth that we see with Miro. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's just like you can hope for somebody to play great all season, but at the quarterback position, you know this. Like, we know that it's times where it seems like they have it all together, and it's times you look and you be like, what in the world is he doing? And a defensive lineman, a linebacker that the Crocs have, that the Scorpio Steelers have, they can do that. They can cause havoc at a line. They can cause havoc. And when you're young and you're playing quarterback, I won't even say young. Look at what he's doing. Look what they're doing to the veteran quarterbacks. Look, they got him on the run. You know what I mean? They got him on the run. Yes, the Roosters' offensive line is probably, a little better than these other teams, but you have to be able to still get hit, get knocked down, get up, go back out there, complete this first down, but you have to do that on a consistent basis because the other team, their quarterback is doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? He's doing the same exact thing. So that's the growth I want to see in Ambrose coming into this second half of the season. Yes, I know what he's doing now. I expect that. He's been around football for a long time. He put the work in, the gym, everything. His throwing ability, he has all the intangibles. The only thing he doesn't have is the experience, and that just comes with time. You know what I mean? It comes with time. And yes, he started for Scorpio. Now he's starting for the Roosters. That's great. But I need to see him in crunch time. I need to see him make those plays that we all feel like he can make. But in order to go to where we think they can go, it's going to be him. It has to be him.
True. You make really good points. I got nothing to add. Let's talk about the team we think gonna finish the season in first place. That's where these rankings go. Where we think they're gonna finish the season. We talk playoffs when it's playoff time. But Chris, what are your thoughts on the Scorpio Steelers so far?
They're just playing the most consistently. They're playing the best football right now. Their defense is very good. Their receivers, very good. Austin Brock is ridiculous. Josh Taylor, he just does it week in, week out, not only through the air, but with his legs as well. And one person who we don't always give flowers to, or we're not used to giving flowers to, who's improved so much this year is Noah Choate. I know we've talked about it in the group previously, in our private group chat, but Noah Choate, he'd be out here. He's balling this year.
Yeah.
And I think Purvis, you said it the best when you said now that they've got him out of this like H-back role, this kind of hybrid role, and he's playing receiver, we can see what he can actually do because he is doing bits for this team right now. He is doing absolute bits for them. Let me just read off his numbers. I've got his numbers here. He's got only 13 catches, but he's got 333 yards with those 13 catches and 7 touchdowns.
So that's 50% touchdowns, 50% touchdowns.
Half of his catches are going for touchdowns. That says it all.
Tutties.
That says it all. And, and Austin Brock, he's leading the league in receiving yards with 467. He's got 4 TDs on 25 grabs. So those are his 2 guys that he likes to go to. And this team are as I said about the Roosters, they're a Maple Bowl team. They really are right now. And it's the best Steelers team that we have seen since the dynasty, which wasn't that long ago. Because the Steelers
since the COVID team. The COVID team was
it was right.
So they are them. They are them. The Steelers are them.
What about you, Q? What are you thinking about this new Steelers squad?
They're doing everything I expected. High-powered offense, I called it in the beginning of the season. I said Nessie is going to throw the ball. He's going to find a way to put points on the board. Doesn't matter what team he's a part of. That's just what he brings to the table. And with the I don't know why nobody else didn't sign this quarterback before Nessie did. Because this man is like – this man is probably going to have like a double-digit rushing and passing season. You know what I mean? And like the only thing that
20,
can
25 and 15. That's what I'm going with.
like he's gonna like it's gonna be ridiculous, man. Like watching what this guy can do with the ball in his hand. He takes chances. I think he's a real passionate quarterback. Like he's a real passionate quarterback. Like we're gonna win because of me, and we're gonna lose because of me too. Like a gunslinger almost, but better. Josh Taylor's been playing absolutely amazing, running the ball, passing the ball. He's a lot to deal with in that pocket. You send pressure at him. I gave him the cheat code to it. They didn't listen to me, so he's been killing everybody. And their receivers are playing great. Their defense is playing lights out. The DBs don't have to cover for that long. The front seven is handling everything. They probably got the best linebacker in the league on the team, and they probably got one of the best D linemen in the league on the team, a top 5 D line on the team. So those guys have presence every game, and that's what you want. You want somebody to have a presence like that every game. That's what Corpio is bringing. Their imports are doing exactly what I always say. They coming in, they earning their money. They earning the reason why we brought you over here. We want you to play like this. Not sometimes, every single time you touch that field for a game. And this is what you get. You get to see Corpio at a high level. They're only going to get better unless they sustain an injury, which I hope they don't happen. But right now, Corpio is the best team in the league right now, hands down. The best team. And yes, can they lose? Yes, any team can. But they're the only complete team where I say, hey, let me look at D-line, let me look at linebackers, let me look at DBs, and let me see how many weaknesses they got at each one. And they don't have really a lot of weaknesses on that defense. And offensively, the only weakness they have on offense is that they don't have a running back. I'd say somebody that we was like, all right, he's the running back. I don't know what position people play on their team now. I just be seeing them catch touchdown. All I see is 21 catch touchdowns. Number 7 is catcher. I don't even know where they be at sometimes. I'm like, all of them look like.
They got weird numbers too, because like Nuika is number 7. He plays receiver, and then their running back is I can't say his name, but he's number 6. Is like Marval or something like that. Is that the running back?
Ball.
Yeah,
I like him.
Number
He's
6.
Ball.
And then Isaac Marshall's number 20, and he also plays slot sometimes. So they got a lot
everywhere.
of numbers.
It's like
they got a safety who's number 0.
No choke 21, play receiver.
Yeah, and then
This is just like y'all go out there and play wherever y'all want to play on this play, and it works.
We'll get you the ball.
It looked like it worked. It looked like it worked. It's like I know everybody on that offense. Probably know every position. Position. You can tell. You can just tell that way. The quarterback, he can. Hey, let's run trips to this side, and now you turn into the X, or now you turn into this. You can tell that's what type of offense they got. So if I had to play against Scorpio right now, I would be worried if my defense wasn't intact because they're going to attack you. And if your D line, if you don't have depth at D line, Scorpio is going to beat you. If you don't have depth, you need guys coming in with fresh legs, putting pressure on his quarterback. If he is going to run out of the pocket, make him stay in the pocket. That's why I think you can beat him. If I just had to throw it out there, make him stay in the pocket. On the run, he's going to hurt you every single time, and that's what he's been doing. He got to looking like Mike Vick, man. Josh Taylor, slow down. Austin Brock, slow down. Scorpio Steelers and Nessie, slow down, man. We got a lot of football left. I got the red shirt on because I'm always going with the red. But Scorpio's right now, I think I want a T-shirt. I think I want.
I never thought I'd see the day.
I think I want a Scorpio T-shirt, man. I think I do, man. They don't warm me over, man. Scorpio don't warm me over. I never thought
I would pay good money to see Q in a Scorpio Steelers T-shirt.
Yeah,
like let's make that happen. I would love to see that.
Please do. I'll wear it when they play against the Roosters because I respect them. I respect them so much more now than I looked at them in the past because I don't know. It's just I like this football. I like this type of football. I like this. It's not this like arrogant, we're the champions type of feel. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They did that, whatever. But now this team seems a little more organic. It seems like the quarterback, he really loved when his guys make plays. You can see the guys excited. When I was like in college, when I was trying to get recruited in college, coaches always told me, we watch everything. We don't just watch you on the football field. We watch you on the sideline. When you make a great play, how do your teammates react? When your teammates make a great play, how do you react? Do you run over there and celebrate with them, or do you just run to the sideline? You know what I mean? Those type of players, that means something. When you put guys like that really care that they're being playmakers for the team, it only breeds more and more plays. It started to be competition. Everybody is trying to ball on every time they touch the ball. They're trying to score, and that's what you see out of Scorpio right now. They just a loaded team, and they're pretty good.
Yeah. So all I'm gonna add about Scorpio is, first of all, before the season, look, I looked at the paper and I was like, damn, like they're gonna be good. And then I said here on the podcast, but I gotta see it. I'm not gonna just, I'm not gonna crown them. I mean, I gotta see something. And after 5 weeks, I've seen enough. You the best. Like DJ Khaled said, another one. They got another dynasty started right here. I mean, if they want to do that, but they are consistent. They're having fun. You can see that they're having fun. That nothing is forced. Everything is, like Q said, organic. They're a good football team all around. There aren't really any holes. I mean, if I get real nitpicky, I can find some, but that'd be stupid. As a group, this team is solid. They're the best looking team so far this season. Don't really see anybody knocking them off, but we do have a lot of football left to play. Like you said, maybe you slow it down a little bit, guys. Maybe pump the brakes a little bit. Let us see what other teams got going on. But if not, full throttle, put your foot on their neck. I like that type of football as well. I say try to put up 80 to 100 on somebody at some point.
Yeah.
Don't play with them. Man. I would love to see that. The biggest thing the Scorpio Steelers have done is get Coach Q to say he would wear a Steelers shirt on this podcast. Like that's you don't huge. Even know that's huge. Like that's monumental.
I'll do it, man.
Hey, you doing things.
I like me. I'm this group, man. These guys, they talk to me and they DM me. They talk to me, hey coach, I like what you're saying. Like it's one thing, like bro, when I talk about football, I ain't talking from a hater point of view, none of that. I'm talking from strictly competitive football player, bro. Like, so when I say things about team and it sound harsh or it sound like whatever, it's just my opinion. It don't mean it's gold. It don't mean it's law, anything like that. But when it comes to football, I've seen it played at the best level. I played against some of the best guys in Europe and in America. So like, I just like that it's organic. This Scorpio team is like, hey, we're happy that everybody's balling. I like to see that. A lot, like I always say, man, football players now, it's not they post more photos than they do plays. Like, be for real. Like where the highlights at? And I like to see players that's like that. Who, hey, you gonna post 5 pictures? Post me 5 plays too. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. Scorpio just got, they got me excited because I want to see a matchup for them and the Roosters. I've been waiting on it. It's a test for both teams, but it's the best of the best. Let's get to it.
I can't believe this is Q talking right now. This is crazy.
I look good as hell in this red today, but I probably look even better in black.
Oh man, he said it. The words just aren't enough. Like, this is crazy. So we just gonna move on because that's it.
Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at 1 cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going.
Are you an athlete looking for a community? Are you an athlete who feels alone in the process of trying to get to the next level? Join Ballers Members, a tribe for athletes in Europe with elite level mindset led by international legends Alpha Juice Jallo and Jock Crawford. Have a brother right in your backyard. If this is a community you're looking for, DM Ballers International on Instagram at BallersINT. Join Ballers Members today. Now, that's it for this episode because we've talked too much today. Midsummer predictions, we went into it, fellas. Any last words y'all want to say before we get out of here, man? This was good.
Big game this week. Roosters Steelers. I can't wait to talk about it next episode because it's going to be a big one and it's going to give us the measuring stick of the league right now.
What about you, Q?
You see this face? Y'all see this face? Y'all see this face, man. Hey, I just want the guys to show up, man. Show up, both sides show up. I cleared my whole schedule for this game. I cleared my whole work schedule for this game. I'm just ready to see what all the talk is about. I'm ready to see, man. I like to see the best of the best play against each other. That's what we're gonna see. Like, hey, we meet again. Let's have some good football. That's all I want to see, man. I'm not, throwing my prediction out there yet, but we're gonna see when it's time to go. Everybody will know. So let's get to it.
Yeah. So we'll be back tomorrow. I know we had the midsummer break, so we weren't here for about a week. I hope everybody enjoyed their break, especially like the players and the teams. Hope you had time to refresh because, it's like 7 straight weeks now. It's 2 months of football. I don't think there's no more breaks. No, there's got to be an August break. There's an August break. There's got to be an August break for the flag championship.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But outside of that, 6 more weeks. That's still a month and a half of football. So be excited to see how this goes down for the next couple of weeks. We'll be here tomorrow, back on the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social channels at American Football in Finland. And until next time, never forget.
T.
AFF. We go.